What is up, fellow bench warmers? Welcome to your daily fantasy quickie. Hey guys, it's a Sunday edition of your daily fantasy quickie. How are you guys? Hope your weekend has been well and good. My name is JJT, your host, and commish.
Yes. After we recorded our quickie that we said was an eventful day, the NBA made sure that there would be some news before 12 o'clock.
Yes, and the biggest news was the Lamelo Ball and Terry Rozier testing positive for COVID.
And Plumlee and also Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
Yes.
So pretty much a very depleted Charlotte team who will be playing tomorrow. I know some managers have been asking who to add. Ish Smith is one of the number one ads in Yahoo when you look at the transaction trends. And of course, the other one of the Martin twins, Cody Martin.
Yeah.
Who do you prefer to add first?
That's a tough question.
Because Ish Smith has been the more added player with this news. Cody, not too much. Maybe because he's coming from a minor injury, right? He is game time decision the other day.
Yes, that's true.
So maybe that's not. But for me, I just feel like Cody would be the better option. Higher upside, I guess. Bet.
Yes.
Lots more contribution across the board.
Yes. I would prefer Cody, but I understand Ish Smith because Lamelo and Rozier are their point guards.
Yeah.
Cody is not the point guard, so of course he's not gonna play point guard. He's not gonna get the point guard minutes. It's all gonna go to Ish Smith. But Cody, remember Gordon Hayward. Their starting five would probably be Ish, Hayward, Oubre, Miles, and probably PJ Washington. That's the only other. That's the remaining rotation players there. So the rest of the they called up 5 G League players.
Yep.
And including the rookie, James Bouknight.
Yep. I was just about to ask if that guy, the Bouknight, is an okay ad in a deeper setting.
I think so. He's a lottery pick. He's been dominating the G League.
Yeah.
So
I think he's averaging 28.
Yeah, 28 and a couple of 6 rebounds, something like that. So he's been dominating. Now, going back to the Cody Martin Ish Smith thing first, Cody will probably be off the bench. But even off the bench, even in lesser minutes than Ish Smith, I think he's a better ad than Ish Smith. Because he can give you steals and he can give you blocks, right? Ish Smith is probably a poor man's Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones is already a poor man's whatever. So he's like even poorer than that.
Ish Smith can score better than Tyus Jones. Probably assist. Ish Smith and both of them probably would be on the similar boat in terms of assists, probably around 5 or 6 assists, maybe 7, 8 from time to time on a good day, right? The steals though would be Tyus Jones's advantage. So if you're looking for steals for tomorrow's game, I don't think Ish Smith would be the guy to pick up there. I think Cody might be the better option when you're looking for defensive stats, some rebounding. And Cody played well early in the season. He is currently ranked within the top 100 on a per game basis. So he can contribute across the board.
Cody is like Bruce Brown in some sense. I mean,
utility guy, Charlotte's utility guy.
Yes, and with utility guys, there are games where they can just like Bruce Brown. There are games where he just is not there. The stats are totally not there because you're not gonna get a lot of usage. So it's not gonna be always there. But overall, I think he can contribute. a lot of people also picked up Nick Richards,
Mhm.
another rookie who is their center, who started center for some games already with Charlotte. So maybe people didn't know that he was already starting some games, and he has not done anything, and he's not good. He's not good. Even if tomorrow he suddenly gets 10 points, 8 rebounds, I won't buy that because that would be a fluke. He's not good. They also called up another of their sophomore bigs, Vernon Carey, a second rounder last year. He's not good either. So I think those three, Ishmit, Cody Martin. Then of course, if you're really in a very deep league, James Bouknight is someone to gamble on. And
Mhm.
then the rest of the remaining players, I hope Miles Bridges would be back to his, early season Miles Bridges, and
Yeah.
Upe has been hot. Hayward will probably get a lot of usage. So those three would be, and PJ Washington will all benefit.
Yeah, and PJ Washington, who has been playing well since coming back from the injury, a lot better than early in the season.
But what is scary is that I think they played Kobe White and Javante Green just 3 days ago before they got
Mhm.
COVID. Now they played 2 days prior, so so we don't know if they infected anybody else because
Yeah.
right, they're playing. I don't know what the NBA can do about this, but maybe just one last thing about this. This will not be the last COVID case
Oh,
or
for
outbreak
sure, for sure. I
or
mean,
outbreak. Maybe not the last COVID outbreak this season.
for sure. I don't think this would be it. And in fact, I think, this will be a regular occurrence. And expect that to happen. And that's why, the IL plus is there for you guys to utilize. And yeah, and you have to just utilize it well and be fast on the waivers. I mean, in a 14-team league, I think, of course, obviously, losing Lamelo and Rozier would be big, right? For 10 days, that's pretty much 2 weeks of your two fantasy weeks, right? We're at the tail end of week 7. So that means they'll probably be out week 8 and most likely week 9,
Yes,
right?
possibly. And I
Right?
have a question for you. I mean, I saw that we have one IL and one IL plus
Mm-hmm.
in most of our leagues. Do you think we should have made it two IL plus
Instead of
or
one IL.
and one IL plus?
Um,
Given all of these situations now.
no. Well, the one, the my thinking there in creating one IL and IL plus is that the IL is for any long-term injuries. The IL plus is really for, like these things, COVID,
Yeah.
GTV. And if you use it well, right? If you are, because there are a lot of game time decisions, players that are out, and if you use it well, you could stream really well. But like what Commish has said, given the settings that we have, you really have to be very up to date or fast. Otherwise, you won't be able to catch some of the hot free agents. But having said that, um, yeah, I think the IL plus just one would be okay because I don't want everyone to be just um, you know just hoarding or getting players that are GTD. I mean, it has some effect in terms of the free agent pool.
That's true.
People will
That's
just,
true.
they'll just, the thing I realized this season is that they'll just adjust to what the settings are and they'll figure it
Yes.
out, right? I mean, there would
Yes.
be
Yes.
leagues wherein they're very conservative in adding players. They're not as fast when it comes to adding free agents. And then there are leagues that are way too fast in adding free agents, and there are leagues that are not as patient with the injuries. They'll just drop players. So I think managers adapt and they find a way to live with it. But yeah, it helps that there would be two IL plus. But my thinking there, the strategy is you have one long term injury that you can put in IL, and then Another one for maybe a short-term injury for the IL.
I mentioned that because this year I noticed there's a lot of illness.
Yeah.
Injuries,
Yeah,
non-COVID,
that too.
supposedly non-COVID, but illness. Lots of rest, lots of contusion here, contusion there, lots of weird injuries that have made a big part of the player pool as ETD. So sometimes not having an IL plus did not help some teams because
there
most
are
of their
disadvantages.
injuries are GTDs.
There could be disadvantages in using the IL plus too much. There are times wherein I cannot bring up a very valid player like my first round pick. Like there was a time wherein I just couldn't bring up a third round pick because everyone was healthy already, and some players were not really droppable at that point.
You didn't want to drop anybody.
Yeah, because I wanted to wait another GTD to replace it. But the thing is, not if you get lucky on that week, no one will be injured, right? No one will be out. No one will be. So you don't just drop them, and that can be a little more disadvantage. So I tend to use it more wisely now. Like players like Butler, the top players, if they are game time decision, I don't immediately put them in the IL plus.
I get your point. You can get trapped. You can get trapped. But you can only get trapped if you do not drop a player, even if it's not really a droppable player.
Yeah.
I guess you have to drop. Like I am in a similar situation right now in one of our leagues, in a 12-team league where I put Josh Giddey there because he was out with an illness.
Yep.
And I added Jason Tate. And so that means Tate is my 12th man or my 13th man in that team. And obviously, I'm not really interested in dropping Tate at this point.
Yep.
So Giddey is now going to play tomorrow.
So now you won't be able to use Giddey. Well, that's a low end.
Yes.
Giddey is not the high end. Like if you get trapped with, let's say, Lamelo, for example, right? You put him in IL plus. And then
I'll give you what will happen. Anthony Davis is suddenly GTD.
Anthony Davis is always GTD, not sudden. Always.
So if I swap Anthony Davis with Josh Giddey, that works. But since Giddey is just an illness, he's not gonna go back to GTD realistically. So I will be trapped with Anthony Davis because Giddey, I will be okay. Just leave him there. And then whatever happens. But if it's AD, I'll be forced to make a move.
That's the thing that I was talking about. Being trapped sometimes. So it's really not as recommended to put, especially if the other guys are just on short-term injuries or on rest.
Just be careful. Yeah,
just be smart or wise enough to know when to put certain players. Like Anthony Davis is always game time decision. If you put him there a few minutes or a few hours before the game, he'll play. He's always game time decision all the time, and he'll play. And you might be set in a trap wherein you can't put him back in your lineup because other players have already played, right? Or you can't change other roster spots already, or you can't drop players. So, or if you are on a daily tomorrow setting, even if you put him back and you drop a player, that wouldn't reflect on the same day. So those things.
But these are Conyo problems, in other words, because if you have that problem, that means your team is strong.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I mean, if you have you don't have a player you could drop, let's say a Steven Adams even or a streamer, that means your team is almost everybody's contributing 1 to 13, right?
True.
I mean, other people will say I can't relate, man, because I have 5 players. I have 5 players I want to drop.
No, if you have different leagues or lots of leagues, I'm sure there are going to be some leagues wherein you're going to be pretty healthy. I mean, you're really on a tough spot if you got all of your teams unhealthy. But there'll probably be like I have 18 teams, and there are a couple leagues wherein they're really healthy.
Mm.
No one's not many are in the GTD or maybe in the IL. And yeah, and then there was a time wherein there was no one, so I picked up players who are in IL, like low end players like Kelly Olynyk, James Wiseman. Now I have a lot of players who are injured. I have OG. I have I think I have Bam. So now I had to drop all those players that I picked that are in the IL. So I mean, it happens. It happens.
Yes, it happens.
All right. So let's move on to more news. Alex Caruso uh, injured. Is this a
Hamstring.
hamstring?
Yeah, he was questionable coming to the
The,
game.
the the theme for this year, if it's not a thumb, it's most likely a hamstring injury.
Yes, if it's not a thumb, it's a hamstring. And with Caruso, though, this is I think an aggravation because he was already questionable before the game started. Before the game, and he started even with that injury.
Yeah.
So he forced himself to play, and that's what happens. Probably similar to Devin Booker. Probably gonna be a couple of games, I think,
or a week at most.
I
hopefully.
okay. I forgot to put Derek Jones Jr. in my buy list today. I apologize for that, but I think if Caruso is gonna miss time, Derek Jones Jr. today got 34 minutes, and he's a kind of if you squint hard enough, it could be like a Matisse Thybulle in some sense because of the block and steals, and he also doesn't do anything else. I mean,
Yeah,
he
he
doesn't do anything
doesn't.
else.
But in fairness to to Derek Jones Jr., he is a good target for dunks, right?
I was gonna say you're gonna say he's a good dunker.
He is, and he's a good target on fast breaks, dunks, right? And
yes.
he is probably a better scorer than Taibo in the sense that he can get inside and make his way inside and score. He's more athletic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a little scoring, but you don't expect too much from Derek Jones Jr. Jaylen Brown still out. OG,
OG
Jaylen
had
Brown and OG.
OG had a setback.
So
It was reported that he had a setback at the start of the week. So maybe this would mean longer period of time for him.
Yeah.
But
that's not the news we want to hear, especially from a player who earlier this season we felt like could be a breakout player this year. And he did.
And he
did.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and he was on the verge of doing it already, and now this happens. And it was supposed to be a 2-week thing. It was supposed to be just hip pointer, and
I think
I know
another thing that happened here was that I think he was injured. He played through it for a few games, and I think he was already in pain for a few games, and then maybe it got worse as he played through it. So all you have to do is wait. If you are an OG owner, if you're not an OG owner, you might want to try getting OG. Are you recommending getting OG? Depending on the price. Depending on the price.
It's a buy low. I like him more than Jaylen Brown for sure.
Yeah. Because the upside is better, I guess. The upside is better with OG. He's already shown he can be a lot better.
Yes.
Jaylen still has Jason Tatum by his side who, can
and hasn't done anything.
Other than the first game. Jaylen Brown owners who picked him, I was excited after seeing the first game. I was feeling good about my our sleeper pick, like our tiered sleeper picks, right? I think I picked Jaylen and I was feeling good about that, and then this happened. It's going to be tough. Easier to trade OG in case you need body and higher trade value than Jaylen Brown, because there were some questions before about Jaylen Brown's trade value. OG would be a better would have a higher trade value than Jaylen in case you're
Yes,
looking to
yes.
trade him. Luka missed today's game as well. Is it today? Yeah, today's game. Yeah.
Luka and Kristaps.
Yep.
Luka's ankle, the last game he was favoring that ankle that he sprained. There were plays that they showed it right now. There were plays where he was fouled or anything, and he was limping, holding on to the ankle. And then Jason Kidd said that yeah, he's not healthy there with that ankle. So they decided to rest him. Kristaps is also actually more worried with Kristaps because it's the contusion supposedly is hurting him. That's the knee. We know that. We know his problems with the knee. I don't want to say I told you guys, but I told you guys. I mean,
interestingly, right? We were talking about the trade recently. One of our listeners or followers, Christopher Alfonso, made the trade. I think it was Garland Caruso for Kristaps, and if I remember it correctly, it's Marcus Morris and today Caruso got hurt, Kristaps is out, so it was like Marcus Morris for Garland. Well, in fairness to Marcus Morris, he's holding his own in after the second good game.
Yes, but it's tough. It's tough to hold Kristaps. For me, if you can get Garland like he did for him, I'm okay. I'll move on. Call it a day.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the news, the injuries. Let's talk about some buy players. We talked about Marcus Morris. Hopefully he's gonna be healthy because Paul George doesn't look healthy.
Mm-hmm.
He's been struggling after a really fast start. So I wouldn't be surprised if Paul George, would miss a few games here and there, just to get some rest, because he's been carrying the Clippers a lot, and maybe need some rest to heal his body.
Marcus, though, for me is more of a short-term thing while he's hot. Yeah. Nick Batum is near the end of his quarantine. So if Batum comes back, that would hurt Morris for sure. But yeah, if Paul George does rest, there would be more shots, more usage. But I don't think I may be wrong, but I don't think Paul George's injury is anything serious or long term.
Yeah, maybe just need
for the
some
short
rest.
term. Yeah, for the short term. Yeah.
And yeah, so Marcus Morris or buy. Now we have a few Sacramento players: Chimezi Metu, Marvin Bagley, and Terrence Davis as buy players. Metu, we've been talking about Metu already before. Today he had 5 blocks.
5 blocks, yes.
But that's pretty much it. I don't think he contributed well enough in the other categories.
JJT is back. He's a very demanding owner like last season. I mean, I remember last season JJT. A lot of for your information, a lot of managers are asking why JJT is angry with Steph Curry, and I said you better ask him because
we'll talk about Steph Curry today.
Yes, I'm not the demanding owner here. I'm happy. I'm easily satisfied. But Metu 5 blocks. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's 5 blocks. What do you want?
Still want him to get a few stats here and there. I mean, 5 blocks is nice, so it's hard to get. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's
Marvin Bagley. I didn't see Marvin Bagley's stats, so
12 points, 11 rebounds today. Double off the bench. And the concern with Sacramento, Harrison Barnes is already in the G League. So won't be long. That's why I put these guys here. When Barnes comes back, of course, Harkless is still out. Metu would probably still start, but that's not a given if Barnes comes back because Terrence Davis has been playing well. Yeah. There is one of these guys, Metu, Davis, Bagley. When Barnes comes back, there's still probably going to be one guy that's worth owning. I don't know who. Let's see what the rotation will be when Barnes comes back. But as of now, all 3 of them are good. Good.
Who do you pick
for
first?
Me? Good for me. For me, not for
Who
Jeremy.
do you think should be picked first among these 3?
Um, I'll go with the hot hand. I'll go with Terrence Davis right now.
Mm-hmm.
He is really hot. He's playing well, and Buddy Hield is, I don't know what he's doing. So I'm gonna go with Terrence Davis.
All right. So Terrence Davis, Marvin Bagley, and Chimezie Metu. We talked about Cody Martin. Now let's talk about his brother Caleb Martin. With the depleted Miami Heat. So Miami hasn't had Butler for quite a while, and I think that might be contributing to the usage of Caleb Martin. And then they also missed Markieff. He's still not there, and then of course Bam. So they're quite depleted. The Heat. Caleb is just like his brother Cody.
Yeah.
I mean,
Worst version.
looks in style of play, I guess.
He's like Robin Lopez to Brook Lopez.
Yep.
I mean,
that's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Comparison.
Yeah. Not as good. Not as good, but it's not bad.
Not as good, but the stat sets are pretty much the same.
Similar. Yes.
Yeah, they're pretty much similar. Pat Connaughton, I don't know. Like I told you, I don't know why you've been dropping Pat Connaughton a few weeks back, but
Yes.
he's been solid. Like I said, I mean, sometimes the drops have been premature.
We never recommended that though. We
did not. But
yes.
I just mentioned that I've seen Pat Connaughton drop a few weeks ago in some leagues. I don't know why. But maybe because there were news that Bobby Portis would return, and that was I think when Middleton was about to return.
Yes.
But Pat Connaughton is still hot, and today without Giannis, I think Giannis's injury is not really long term. I don't think it's something serious.
It's
but
the
even
calf.
with Giannis playing, Connaughton has been good so far. He's been playing off the bench, right?
Yeah, but today he started because Grayson Allen was out with an illness, the illness bug.
Yeah.
So he started and he played well, but he off the bench, as you said, he's been one of the better bench players this season. 3-pointers, steals. He's been consistent for the Bucks. And if you look at the Bucks roster, they really do not have a lot of players that they can rely on the bench.
They don't. Even last year.
Yes, even last year, they're not a deep team.
They're not. And Pat Connaughton took on the role of Bobby Portis last year because Bobby Portis is now
a starter.
Starting.
Yes.
And looks like it's gonna stick because of the Brook Lopez news that he might take a while. So
people are asking if Wesley Matthews, who was just signed, would affect Pat Connaughton or Grayson Allen. I don't think so. Wesley Matthews played today. It's very low end. I don't think he's gonna start, or they would prefer him over Pat Connaughton. It's just for added depth, I think.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think so.
They're just trying to fill out some roster spots.
Yeah.
Of course, they're a championship team. They probably won't fill that out with rookies or unproven players. So they picked out some veterans who can contribute and would know their roles already. Pat Connaughton, DeAnthony Melton, a few good games already since the Ja Morant, injury. Should be rostered.
Yes.
Yeah. And Dennis Smith Jr. from Portland.
That Simons is out, Lillard is out.
Yeah.
He's the remaining point guard. I'm not confident in recommending Dennis Smith Jr. It's against my will. But for the longest time, you can say anything about Dennis Smith Jr., but he's a guy who can get steals and blocks for a point guard. There were games where he had 4 steals, 3 blocks. There was a game I remember, and that's just once. Like a couple of times he has done that. So now that he's getting 30 minutes a game, that's not far-fetched from happening.
I mean, probably a low end, but since he is getting the minutes, he might be able to accumulate some stats. So if you're in a very deep league,
yes,
you might want to consider, because let's say in a 16 18-team league, right?
Yes. Yes.
He could be someone that you can roster and watch out
Yes.
for. Another player who played well today, I'm not sure if you mentioned Naji from Denver.
Yeah, Ziki Naji of Denver. I didn't put him here because I don't know if he's really gonna be able to sustain that. I watched the game. It was an early game, 2 a.m. game, and he was really hot. He was really hot. He was making everything, and it looks not sustainable. But it's something to monitor. Deeper leagues can see. Remember, there's an opportunity in Denver. They're missing so many guys.
They're another team that's very depleted in terms of lineup and affected by the injury bug. Yeah. So those are our buy players. Let's talk about some worry players. Let's talk about Steph. Why I'm
there.
Not happy about Steph.
Let's give
look at
JJT
Steph. What did Steph do today? What did Steph do today?
7 of 28 from the field. I think he had 5 threes, although 5 3-pointers still. Overall, I mean, outside of the field goal, he did well. He did well, although the field goal was really bad.
Today was not too bad. Yeah, I mean, 7-28. I don't mind the field goal. I just don't like it when he scores, 20, 18 points. I think the other day, right? I mean, the Phoenix game was bad. I mean, I didn't like that because we get Steph for the points, the threes, and then he doesn't give you those. It's just annoying.
In fairness to JJT, this week Steph has not been the best week of Steph Curry.
And I haven't been complaining about Steph this week.
You did this week. This week was the Phoenix game.
Oh yeah, the Phoenix.
This week is the first game of the week. I think was
the second game of this week 7. I think.
Yes, and I guess the timing maybe not right, but Steph has been good overall. So
I have a question. It's been I've been thinking about this. Steph, we talked about Steph and Jokic, and we're both in agreement that Jokic is definitely still the top pick here, the preferred choice. Let's talk about Harden. Harden's been playing well. He's been playing really well lately. He's close to that triple-double threat every game with high free throw rate. Given that, you still go with Steph?
Yes. Over Harden?
Yeah.
I don't think Harden should be the player we're talking about.
Durant?
Yes, I still think it's Durant. And Harden has been good. Different good. I was just thinking of him a while ago when I watched him, and then the commentators were saying, I think it was Richard Jefferson who's saying, the explosiveness is gone with Harden. I mean, he's getting by, but he's not making the layups, the dunks, or anything because it's different. He's just different now. He's really older.
He's slowed down.
He's slowed down. And then I was thinking, he's slowed down, but he's still a top 5 fantasy player. That's how good he is. Because he's a great rebounder. He passes the ball well. He has the defense. So that has carried him. But if this was like, if he's just averaging 25 to 28 points a game, yes, Harden would give Steph a run for his money. But right now, at this level, yes, I understand he's playing well. But how many points is he shooting, scoring? What's his field goal percentage? The free throw attempts a game has increased, but it's not the old levels yet. So it's still Steph. Steph.
You know why I thought of that? In a bad game, when Steph has a bad game, he has a bad game. No, not much rebounding, not much assist. When Harden has a bad game, he probably would have had 14, 15 assists, 13 assists. And you'll feel a little better with that.
Before, I would say that. But this year, Steph, so far in his bad games, he has had not 14 assists, but the steals are there. He's been trying to get more, active on defense. The steals have been there. The assist has increased. In fairness to him, you look at all the bad games this year, at least 7 or 8, not Harden level 7 or 8, but I would agree. In bad games, probably Harden's bad games are better than Steph's bad games. But this year, Harden's good games are nowhere near Steph's good games. So I guess you just it evens it out. It evens it out. That's why I'm saying KD. I don't remember a bad game from KD this season. One game, I think. There was one bad game. The rest have been really good. And nobody talks about him anymore because it's been consistently good. So I think KD is the guy that should be the number 2 pick. If he's really gonna be this healthy the rest of the way, he should be number.
When if we go back to the draft day, I think a few players a lot of those who were picked in the later rounds has been overachieving compared to those who were picked earlier, right? KD playing better than his draft position. Anthony Davis playing a lot better. Paul George playing better than his draft position. Sometimes, at times, Karl Anthony Towns has been playing better than his draft position. Trae Young, right?
Jimmy Butler.
Some of the players like who are the earlier picks? Tatum. Lillard, Tatum, those two players.
Embiid, even Embiid. Yeah.
It's not yet, Embiid, I think will get there eventually, but I just think that, so far they haven't really shown much, and
that's true.
Hopefully they'll get it going by when all is said and done. So yeah, that's the reason why I don't like. I have a lot of Steph as well, and like I said, he just gives me those bad games at the wrong time. Just when
it's really not easy to be a student of teacher Jeremy or a player of coach Jeremy. It's gonna ask a lot of you, a lot from you. You have to bring your A game every day.
Because the reason why I also asked about James Harden, because I have a lot of James Harden as well, and I don't complain much about James Harden, because even if he doesn't score much, I'll take that, because he gives me 13 assists, 12 assists, and maybe 10 rebounds and 11 rebounds. So that's why at the start of the season, I said that it's easier to build around.
Yes, that is very accurate.
I mean, elite. Curry's elite when he's with his scoring, but when it's not there, it's gonna, affect your team, especially if you don't build it the wrong way. If you don't build it the right way. Unlike for Harden, it's easier.
The saving grace for Steph this year is that Harden has been consistently, not good offensively. I mean, the rebounds,
the scoring. I think the scoring is
the scoring and the field goal, the scoring and the field goal. Yeah, I mean, there was a slippage there, so that has made it, Steph. But what Jeremy is saying is accurate. Yes, the rebounds and the assists, that's very elite, consistent.
Other worry players, just quickly. Norm Powell has been disappointing, given that there's no Lillard, there's no Simons. I mean, it's just him, CJ McCollum, and who else? Nurkic, right? Yeah. I mean, in the scoring wise, it's just the two of them pretty much.
And he's not scoring well.
Yeah.
And today
he hasn't played
8 points, I think. And I think you're going to be mentioning Buddy Hield also. These are the scorers, the shooters who are just
Buddy Hield is more of a specialist, right? I mean,
and he's not making threes.
He's probably among the specialists, he's one of the top there. I mean, the 3-point specialist.
But
probably
he's not
the best 3-point specialist in the field, right?
And I'm just surprised because Alvin Gentry supposedly, there is a history between them.
No, but I think for me, when you're a scorer, this is funny because now I'm making excuses for Buddy Hield not consistently scoring, but not giving the same type of leeway for Steph. But yeah, as a scorer, you probably will have your down days.
Yeah, but hopefully not 3 or 4 straight games. And the difference with Buddy Hield, I think, from Norm Powell and Gary Trent maybe now, is that he's basically just 3-pointers, but he's elite in that. He's very elite. He's even good. Higher than Steph.
Yep.
This year in 3 points. And
overall, I think he's reached the number of 3 points made faster than Steph.
Yes. And then in the past 3 or 4 games, he has a total of 2.
Yeah.
And if that happens, you're dead. You're dead. You're with a dead player, basically.
So Buddy Hield, Norm Powell, some scorers, and Robert Williams. Yeah, Robert Williams has been really, really quiet. I mean,
really bad. Really bad.
We haven't really heard much about Robert Williams this year. I mean, I know this is a very weird question, but I think I'd rather have Horford at this point than Robert Williams. I mean, not looking at the potential, but the what they've done. I think Horford has done a lot.
I think so. I mean, Horford has been more well-rounded, has been more consistent, has had better good games. Robert Williams is not even doing a Miles Turner. Miles Turner has been up, down, but at least there was up. Yeah. Robert Williams has been what? Today, 4 or 5 points? No Horford today and 5 points and what? 2 rebounds, 3 rebounds? Come on. Yeah. But I think he will bounce back. I mean,
and he's in that Isaiah Stewart range, right? Robert Williams.
Right now, yes. But I wonder why I don't hear people complain about him as much as Isaiah Stewart.
No, because Isaiah Stewart early on gave goose eggs from time to time. I don't think Robert Williams has given really, goose eggs for straight games. I mean, he'll have some okay games, not too bad games. Isaiah Stewart early on really was just bad.
But I assume you picked Robert Williams higher, and
but they're on the same tier, right? I mean, Robert Williams, Isaiah Stewart, and maybe Nurkic is there as well. Nurkic has been up and down too, Robert Williams for a player. Now, let's pick a feel-good player. Maybe Lavine and Demar. We haven't really talked much about Demar Derozan this year. He's been good, really good this year. And
who do you think is higher rank right now?
Lavine?
It's Demar. Demar is higher rank right now. And who do you think will end up higher? So who would you rather own? If I offer you Demar now for Lavine, if I offer you Demar right now for your Lavine, would you accept it?
Let me see. Probably no. I still pick Lavine. Maybe because they're pretty similar, I guess. Aren't they? I mean, the stats they give pretty similar.
The threes, though, maybe that's the only difference. The threes.
Yeah.
Okay. Demar doesn't make threes. Lavine does, but Demar is 52% from the field. Lavine is lower.
But the not others, bad. I mean, Lavine is not a bad.
Yes, not bad. But Demar is elite. 52%. And the volume rate is just a great thing to own. So basically you could say the same, because outside of those two stats, they're almost neck and neck. They're almost neck and neck.
Yep. So
but I trust Lavine. I trust Lavine more. So I'll agree with you.
But they probably wouldn't be too far off by the end of the season if they continue to play the same.
Yes. Agree. Also,
they're going to be close, and Demar could be one of those steals in your draft wherein he's probably winning you those weeks because you picked him 6th, 7th round, I guess, or 5th round.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely dropped this year in draft position, so I think that's a big win for you guys if you hold on to your DeMar DeRozan. All right, that's it. Our daily fantasy quickie today. Tomorrow it's Judgment Day for week 7. Really fast. Weeks are going by really fast. It's already week 7, and for some of you, you're pretty much 1/3 into the end of your season, right? For those who's gonna have the finals on week 21, so that's pretty much 1/3, or week 22, I think. So that's probably 1/3 of the season. You're probably 1/3 of the season in already. So yeah, good luck tomorrow, Judgment Day. I think we only have 5 games. 5 or 6?
5 games.
Yeah,
5
5
games
tomorrow, so it's not gonna be a long. There won't be too much games to watch, but yeah, it's an opportunity to watch some games as well. We have a 4:30 game, and all games are early, by the way. 4:30, and the latest game is an 8 o'clock game. 8 a.m. Manila time. All right, we'll see you again tomorrow, guys, for our usual quickie. Good luck tomorrow, and bye.